Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our late night story, Life in Rural America, where seemingly simple relationships hide undercurrents of passion and temptation. Today, we will listen to the story of Mrs. Clarice, a flirtatious lady in her late 40s, early 50s, and Mr. Hank, a simple, widowed fisherman. Their illicit relationship began with a sudden incident, a fire. The climax of the story is when they are caught red-handed by Mrs. Clarice's husband, Mr. Thomas, an oil rig worker, and their son. How will the story unfold? We invite you to listen and contemplate. We wish you moments of relaxation and reflection. It all started when he helped Mrs. Clarice put out a fire. Mrs. Clarice was a flirtatious and promiscuous woman, so she seduced Mr. Hank into an affair. The two were engaging in their trysts while he was fixing the roof of the burnt shed. Eventually, they were caught red-handed by Mrs. Clarice's husband. Yes, and what will the outcome of this story be? Please join us and listen. We wish you a delightful listening experience. 5 years after his wife's death, Mr. Hank never thought he would fall for another woman. Her sweetness made him completely lose control of himself. He never imagined that after all those years, he would end up in bed with a woman even older than him. He wondered what kind of love potion Mrs. Clarice had given this honest-to-goodness farmer that drove him so crazy. The incident occurred while he was fishing on the Mississippi River. He was busy pulling in his net when he looked up at the shore and saw a column of white smoke rising. Sensing trouble, he quickly rowed his boat to shore and hurried towards the fire. As he got closer, he realized it was a house fire, more precisely a shed fire, belonging to a quite wealthy family. Back in the 80s, any home in this area with a brick shed meant they were well off. He didn't know the cause, but he quickly ran over to lend a hand. As he arrived, he heard the loud shouts of a middle-aged woman screaming, "Fire!" Mr. Hank hastened his pace because of the frantic cries for help. In this riverside neighborhood, houses were hundreds of yards apart. You could scream until nightfall and no one would help. Mrs. Clarice was very lucky to have Mr. Hank come to the rescue. He quickly ran to the well, drew large buckets of water, and splashed them onto the shed's roof. Fortunately, the fire was extinguished after just 10 minutes. Mrs. Clarice was overjoyed that the fire had not caused too much damage. Mr. Hank collapsed, exhausted. Mrs. Clarice, her face smudged with soot, rushed to him, thanking him profusely. "Oh my heavens, thank you so much. Thank you, sir. I'm so lucky you were here to help, or this whole building would have burned down. I owe you so much." "It's nothing, ma'am. I was fishing down by the river, saw trouble, and came up to help. Just calm down. Luckily, it only burned a part of the roof. Otherwise, it would have been very dangerous." "Thank you so much. It must have been fate that you showed up right in the middle of this disaster. If you hadn't been here today, I would have just stood and watched the flames explode. Please, come inside. I'll get you some water. You are the savior of my house. You look unfamiliar. Are you not from this village?" "I'm from the village upstream. I often come down here to cast my nets. I'm dirty. You can just let me sit outside. I'll rest for a moment and leave soon." Mr. Hank sat back on the doorstep, turning his face toward the shed to avoid direct eye contact with Mrs. Clarice. She was drenched from helping him with the water, and her clothes clung tightly to her skin. She wasn't wearing a brassiere, so everything was quite exposed. He felt awkward looking at her. Mrs. Clarice, too ecstatic, didn't notice her own state. Mr. Hank averted his gaze and asked a few questions to ease the awkwardness. "Where is your husband and children? Is no one home?" "That's the hard part, sir. My husband and my eldest son went to work on the offshore oil rigs. They only come home once every month or two. I'm just an old woman alone. I was boiling water earlier and got distracted outside, and the fire spread to the wood pile without me noticing. I was so lucky to run into you. It's dangerous for a woman to be alone like this. Say, are you close to 50 yet? Oh, I'm 53 this year. I wish I were close to 50. What about you? You look so young. I wouldn't have guessed you were that age. I'm 8 years younger than you. You look young, sir. Whoever marries you must have accumulated merit over many lifetimes. You're tall, handsome, and kind-hearted, too. Mr. Hank smiled faintly, feeling happy to receive such a compliment. He stood up and said, "If you stay alone so often, you should consider moving into the village. You're all alone here. If something happens, who will help? And about that roof, if you can't find anyone else, I'll come back in a few days and repair it for you." "Oh, if you could do that, it would be wonderful. Just come and help me, sir, and I'll pay you fairly. My husband has argued with every neighbor around here, so I don't know who else to ask. As for moving into the village, I'd love to, but my old man says this is ancestral land, so we can't leave." Mr. Hank nodded, went to the well to retrieve his washed shirt and put it on. He lingered for a moment and then bid Mrs. Clarice goodbye. "Well, I'm heading back to the boat now. I'll come back in 2 or 3 days. You should go change out of those wet clothes, or you'll catch a cold." Hearing that, Mrs. Clarice finally paid attention to her appearance. Looking down, she was shocked herself. She blushed completely. "Oh, excuse me, sir. I was so careless. I was too panicked to notice what I was wearing. How embarrassing. I thank you once again." He left, still smiling faintly to himself. The fire in his mind was minimal, but the fiery image of Mrs. Clarice kept appearing. As a man, he couldn't avoid such seductive images. Most people age and wither, but Mrs. Clarice looked so plump and vibrant, any man would take notice. Mr. Hank was a kind and righteous man, respected by everyone in the nearby villages. With his gentle, honest face and his large, strong, muscular physique, he was constantly noticed by the village widows, old women, divorced women, and even never-married women. Knowing his wife had recently passed away, many women proactively pursued him, but he always refused, saying he wasn't attracted to any of them. In his village, the women were all farmhands, rough and worn, not even close to being as refined as his late wife, so he was picky. He had gone all the way to New York City to find a wife back in the day. When news spread that he was looking for a new wife for his mother, many girls in the village were sad because he was handsome, and everyone wanted to marry him. Since his wife
passed, he had become more withdrawn. Being without a woman's warmth at night, he was often lonely. He was still in his prime, strong and vigorous, and of course he liked women. But since those who liked him were not attractive enough, he gave up. Mrs. Clarice, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. Before marrying her current husband, she had been married once before, but had no children. She only had her son after marrying this man. She was the daughter of a former plantation owner's family, so she never had to do any labor in the countryside. She had never walked through mud or worked in the fields. After marrying, she only stayed home, cooked, and occasionally went to church or to the book club with other women. Therefore, her skin was flawlessly white and smooth, from head to toe, lovely to look at. Her hair was permed in town. She always bought the most beautiful, fashionable clothes. It would be no exaggeration to say her family was one of the wealthiest in the county. Doted on by her husband and son, she looked very different from her peers. She spoke with a suggestive lilt. She walked with a sway, undulating like the street walkers in the county town. To put it bluntly, she was a flirtatious woman. Although she was old, her eyes lit up and flirted with every man she saw. Unfortunately, because her husband worked on the oil rigs, she was very deprived in that regard. Her husband only came home once every month or two and would leave again after a few weeks. If he was in a good mood, he would satisfy her a few times. Otherwise, she would just have to endure it. Thus, all her repressed needs were evident in her coquetry. Even an inexperienced man could tell at a glance that she had a very high libido. She could throw herself at any man regardless of affection, as long as he could satisfy her. A few months ago, there were rumors that she was sleeping with an old man on the county council, but the information later died down. Everyone knew she was boy crazy, but no one had concrete evidence. By what twist of fate did Mr. Hank have the chance to meet her? Deep down in Mrs. Clarice's mind, Mr. Hank already held a special place, not to mention that she had already set her sights on him. Mrs. Clarice just yearned to see Mr. Hank again, looking forward to the day he would come to fix the roof so she could execute her crazy plan. After sorting out his work, Mr. Hank returned to help her, as promised. Guessing that Hank would arrive in the next few days, she waited anxiously at the gate every morning. Seeing the figure of the man walking from the village direction, she beamed with joy, excitedly rushing over to welcome Mr. Hank in. "Mr. Hank, you're here to help me? Let me carry your tools. I've been waiting for you since this morning. Did you walk or take the boat here?" "I took the boat, ma'am. I left it at the dock and walked here." "You look especially cheerful today." "Of course I'm cheerful to see you again." No one was like Mrs. Clarice. She was only staying home to welcome a man to repair the straw on her shed's roof, that she dressed in scandalous, flashy, colorful clothes and even put on lipstick. Even Mr. Hank was surprised. "Are you going somewhere? You're dressed up so nicely." "I'm not going anywhere. I'm just staying home to assist you. I want to look pretty so that the people around me feel happy. Maybe it will give you more spirit to help me too."
Mrs. Clarice was as excited as if she were welcoming a high-ranking official. A woman whose house had just burned down should be gentle and frail, greeting her helper with tenderness and composure. Instead, she was so frantic. Mr. Hank felt embarrassed, wondering if she thought he was here to fix her roof or to help her with her sexual needs. As soon as he sat down to drink water, Mrs. Clarice began to sway sensually. She crossed her legs to show off her smooth, clean thighs. She ran her hands through her hair repeatedly, leaning from side to side. Her goal was to grab Mr. Hank's attention, to make him realize how attractive she was. To be fair, she really was beautiful. The clothes she was wearing accentuated her classiness. Looking at her, she looked like a city girl who had gotten lost here. Her figure was slightly plump, making her look attractive everywhere. Even Mr. Hank had to exclaim, "I thought you were going to a wedding or a party. You look very beautiful today. No one in my village is as fair-skinned as you." Receiving such praise, Mrs. Clarice was even happier. Her eyes crinkled and her mouth pouted. "You flatter me, sir. I wouldn't dare accept that. I'm very old." Mr. Hank himself hadn't thought that Mrs. Clarice was provoking him. He just thought that was her personality and didn't pay much attention. After drinking water, he stood up and started working. He was up on the roof and Mrs. Clarice was below, passing the tiles up. Whether accidentally or intentionally, Mrs. Clarice's shirt was deeply cut. Mr. Hank from above could see the full, smooth curves of her chest, constantly hitting his eyes, which made him very uncomfortable. He thought to himself, "If this keeps up, how will I concentrate on my work?" On top of that, Mrs. Clarice deliberately stretched high to reveal her slender waist. It only stimulated Mr. Hank further. Mrs. Clarice constantly asked him probing questions. "Mr. Hank is so capable. You can do anything. Your wife was lucky to have you. My husband is only good at fishing, but he's very clumsy with these kinds of things. I'm a farmer, ma'am. I have to be able to do everything. My wife passed away a few years ago. I live alone now. My son went to California to learn a trade." Mrs. Clarice was startled, her face showing surprise, but deep down she felt a rush of happiness. "Why don't you find another lady to keep you company? Being alone like that will kill you with loneliness. Life needs a man and a woman to be happy." "I wish I could, but I can't find anyone. I may look simple, but I'm quite picky." "Oh, come on. You just haven't liked anyone yet. Look at you. What woman wouldn't like you? Even an old woman like me finds you attractive, let alone young girls. I'm serious. Try to find someone to keep you warm at night so you can relieve the pressure. Just look at me, alone like this. There are times I want this or that, but I can't have it. I just have to endure it. It makes me irritable and cranky sometimes. Mr. Hank understood Mrs. Clarice's hint and teased her back. So I thought only men needed to relieve pressure. Do women need it too?
Men and women are no different. Maybe we women are even stronger than you men. So, you're really living alone? Yes, I'm still living alone. Oh, that's a shame. A big waste. Look at you, tall, strong, and healthy. If you keep leaving it unused, it will go bad later. Do you want me to introduce you to a lady? Mr. Hank, working, teased back. That would be great if you could. Below, Mrs. Clarice smiled faintly, as if she had uncovered something important. Her eyes remained focused on Mr. Hank's muscular body. Because of the heat, Mr. Hank had taken off his shirt, wearing only short shorts. Seeing the veins bulging on his body, Mrs. Clarice could not control herself. With her husband gone for a long time and a handsome man in front of her, the lust in her heart started to burn wildly. She couldn't control her words anymore. If you can't find a woman to live with, at least find someone to secretly fool around with when you're lonely. Well, I'm looking for someone now. It has to happen sooner or later. I can't live like this forever. Tell me honestly, do you find me attractive? That question made Mr. Hank stop immediately. He looked down with wide eyes. Mrs. Clarice kept winking sweetly, intentionally placing her hand on the ladder to show off her slender waist. Mr. Hank assessed her. You are too beautiful, ma'am. At your age, you are still fresh and lovely. Your figure is well proportioned. I don't mean to overpraise, but you stand out more than girls in their late teens or early 20s. After a few seconds of humming, she looked up and asked Mr. Hank directly, So, do you like me? Mr. Hank was quite surprised by the question. He didn't think Mrs. Clarice would be so direct and bold. He only thought he was here to help her fix the roof, and he had no ill intentions towards her. Yet she kept saying things that stimulated him, making it hard for him to answer. With you looking like this, what man wouldn't like you? But I wouldn't dare dream of you. After speaking, he laughed and climbed up a little higher to continue working. Below, Mrs. Clarice couldn't stop smiling. She sensed the compatibility and closeness between Hank and herself. She felt this man was safe enough and energetic enough to cross the line of friendship with her. After finishing the roof, Mr. Hank went straight to the well to wash up. She stood motionless in the yard, staring at him, seemingly unable to blink. Her face looked dreamy as she watched the cool water run down Mr. Hank's back. Mr. Hank's body is so beautiful. You look like a young man. Any woman who sees you will be helplessly infatuated with you. Mr. Hank turned around embarrassed. Please go inside, ma'am. Let me quickly wash up. You standing there makes me feel too awkward. She chuckled softly and went inside, bringing a kettle of water and a full plate of fruit out to the yard for Mr. Hank to regain his strength. After washing up, Mr. Hank rested outside. Mrs. Clarice stared intensely at him, making him feel uncomfortable. The more I look at you, the more familiar you seem. The more I look, the closer I feel. I wonder if we met in a past life. Maybe we were husband and wife in a past life. Oh wait, maybe not. I'm too pretty for that. I'll ask you one more time. Do you like me when you look at me? Mr. Hank smiled gently and affectionately, observing her once more. Indeed, he had never seen anyone with such full curves as Mrs. Clarice. Every curve was plump and vibrant. To men like him, she was stunningly beautiful and attractive. He had to restrain himself intensely just to sit here and talk like this. "You are beautiful, ma'am. Anyone would like you looking like this. It's just that I don't dare to dream about you." Mrs. Clarice looked at Mr. Hank thoughtfully, seeming unconvinced by his words. Mr. Hank, in turn, shyly looked away. Mrs. Clarice's body was indeed too impressive to him. It was so seductive that he couldn't feel self-assured. He was also subtly aware that Mrs. Clarice was paying attention to him, or more accurately, she was very much attracted to him. From her tone, he could tell she was craving male attention. With her husband gone and a strange man in the house, she was definitely feeling lustful. After pondering for a while, Mrs. Clarice said, "Well, now go inside and rest while I cook. When it's ready, I'll call you to eat with me." "I think I should go home now. I'll come back another time." "No, you can't leave. You must stay today. I have many things I want to talk about later. I feel like we understand each other well." With that, she pulled Mr. Hank straight into her bedroom. "Here, lie down and rest. Just be natural and comfortable." "No, I can rest in the living room. I shouldn't be in your room." "It's fine. I told you I'm easygoing. Just lie down here." Before he could say another word, Mrs. Clarice had already pushed Mr. Hank onto the bed. She handed him a pillow and went down to the kitchen to make dinner. Lying in the room, Mr. Hank felt overly excited. He had never felt this way before. The scent of her room stirred his need for intimacy. Moreover, Mrs. Clarice's undergarments were draped at the foot of the bed, drawing his attention even more. As he rested, his mind wandered. He began to imagine and visualize the scene of him embracing Mrs. Clarice. Just thinking about it made him feel ecstatic. He never thought he would have an affair with an older woman. Yet Mrs. Clarice made him think exactly that. Mrs. Clarice was busy in the kitchen, cooking and smiling to herself. She was thinking about what to say to him and what actions to take to make him indulge her. She didn't want to lose this catch. It was a rare opportunity to have a strange man in the house, and a high-quality one at that. Just thinking that Mr. Hank was lying in her room made her happy but also restless and uncomfortable. Soon enough, dinner was ready. The two sat and ate together happily, talking about everything. Mrs. Clarice flirted, subtly leading the conversation to draw Mr. Hank in. Mr. Hank was equally responsive, agreeing with her suggestive remarks. It was uncanny how compatible they were. They had only met 2 days ago, but it felt like they had known each other for a long time. Mr. Hank was vulnerable, no longer reserved or shy. He thought he wouldn't get another golden opportunity like this. She kept inviting him seductively. With her husband away and her alone at home, it would be a waste not to taste the forbidden fruit. Their eyes exchanged deep, flirtatious glances. Mrs. Clarice kept rubbing her hands on her thigh, as if to invite Mr. Hank. "Well, dinner is done. Stay and rest, okay? Go home in the evening. Stay with me for one night. I have something to confide in you." "I really have to go home. I can't keep bothering you like this." "What is it you want to confide in me? Just tell me, and I'll share my thoughts." "I want to talk about something difficult to say. Finish your meal, and then I'll tell you." Mr. Hank grew bolder. "Haven't seen your husband in a long time. Missing the scent of a man? Is that why you want to keep me here?" Mrs. Clarice bashfully replied, "Mr. Hank, you are very clever. If you don't stay with me tonight, I'll be angry. I won't see you again next time. Come on, sit and drink your water, then go rest in my room. I'll clean up a bit and I'll join you later." With that, she gathered the dishes and went to wash them. As she worked, her insides churned. The image of Mr. Hank's glistening back kept floating in her mind. After cleaning up, she took a thorough shower. She chose a cool nightgown that ended above her knees. She didn't bother wearing anything underneath, leaving herself exposed.
She excitedly walked into the bedroom where Mr. Hank was lying on the bed with his arm over his forehead, full of anticipation. She sat down at the foot of the bed while Mr. Hank remained lying down. She looked at him for a long time, showing a sweet, caressing expression. Mr. Hank saw her exposed state and immediately said, "Aren't you wearing a bra, ma'am? Why are you leaving everything dangling like that? You might drop something." "It's too hot. Wearing too many clothes makes me uncomfortable. I leave it like this to stay cool. And besides, there's no one here. Only you. If anything falls out, you can just pick it up for me, can't you?" Mrs. Clarice smiled shyly, slightly embarrassed. Mr. Hank stared intently at her chest, feeling his patience running out. No man can endure this. "So, what is it you want to confide in me? Tell me now." "I've already hinted at it. You know what I mean. Why do you keep asking? I'm too embarrassed to answer." Mr. Hank fully understood, but pretended to ask to keep the conversation going. But he had to admit that Mrs. Clarice was truly flirtatious and easygoing. What kind of woman would actively pursue a man who just walked into her house? "To be honest, sometimes sleeping alone at night, I feel lonely. I just wish there was a man who would come and help me. I may look old, but in that regard, I crave it deeply. Sometimes I yearn for it, but I can't do anything. It drives me crazy." "So what do you want now? Are you asking me to help you?" Hearing Mr. Hank say that, Mrs. Clarice moved closer to him. Her hand landed on Mr. Hank's knee. "Help me, please. Just looking at Mr. Hank makes me want to ignite. I can't control myself anymore."
"But you have a husband, and you're much older than me. Doing this is a sin." "I don't care. I just want you to make love to me. My husband is not home anyway. I would be so happy if you could help me." At this moment, Mr. Hank's manly passion peaked. He could no longer calmly talk. He pulled Mrs. Clarice down onto his lap. All the heat from Mrs. Clarice's body transferred to his. The collision fueled the fire in both of them. They began to embrace and indulge in their desires. Their energy was overflowing. One was a widower, and the other had a husband working far away, both deprived. So when they lunged at each other, they were frantic and unrestrained. Their hands massaged and groped intensely. They tangled together like wild beasts. When Mrs. Clarice's clothes were cast aside, Mr. Hank's amazed eyes became even fiercer. She was so beautiful, so smooth, so captivating. In his life, he had never experienced a woman so seductive, even though Mrs. Clarice was almost a decade older than him. Mr. Hank devoted all his suppressed desire to Mrs. Clarice. As intense as Mr. Hank was, Mrs. Clarice responded equally with her inherent flirtatiousness, making Mr. Hank feel utterly weak. He couldn't believe Mrs. Clarice was so skillful and professional. She didn't hesitate to demonstrate her skills. She indulged Mr. Hank completely. Whatever he asked for, she readily provided. Just looking at her eyes and her wrinkled face was enough to know how much pleasure she was feeling. "Hank, darling, I love this so much. Hank, you've made me all soft and weak. It's been so long since I was close to a man. I love our secret affair like this. Come back to me again, okay? You are so vigorous. I will remember this until the day I die. You are nothing like my old husband. He just sleeps with me quickly to fulfill his duty, without any feeling. You've made me so excited, and you've made me madly in love with you. I can't believe there's a woman in this world as skillful as you in this matter. I'm going crazy." These encouraging words made them both even more intoxicated. Mr. Hank remained passionate, full of energy. The room was now thick with the smell of lust. Mrs. Clarice had never felt comfortable screaming so freely as she did today. Sounds of satisfaction echoed throughout the room. It had been so long since Mrs. Clarice experienced such a quality love bout as she did today. She arched her back, her eyes half closed, feeling the powerful waves of Mr. Hank's assault. She cherished every minute of it after months of enduring deprivation. She never dared to believe that after that fire, she would suddenly meet such a wonderful man. Everything happened too expectantly. If not for her forwardness and her lustful nature, things would not have progressed so quickly. After an hour, they both stopped. That time was enough for Mrs. Clarice to be satisfied and for Mr. Hank to enjoy the strange feeling with his older flame. Mr. Hank breathed heavily, lying back and holding Mrs. Clarice close, gently patting her. "Is that enough, or do you want me to serve you more?" Mrs. Clarice playfully slapped Mr. Hank's chest. "Stop! I can't take any more. Don't rely on your youth to bully an old woman. Still in a daze. Why don't you stay with me tonight and go home tomorrow?"
"You would drain all my strength. When is your husband returning?" "He only left 3 weeks ago, so it will be a long time until he returns. When you miss me, just come over, okay? I'll be waiting for you. Now that we've slept together, don't you dare abandon me."
"Aren't you afraid of your husband?"
"He won't know, so why be afraid?"
"Don't you feel guilty towards your husband? I'm a wicked woman." "Forget him. It's his fault for leaving you alone. As long as he doesn't find out, it's fine. Everyone has needs. Your needs are high already. Who can endure being isolated like that? Don't worry about him anymore. If you don't come over here, I'll go to your place to find you." Those words acted as a stimulant, fueling the desires of both. Mr. Hank felt safe knowing her husband was working offshore, with no chance of catching them. Mrs. Clarice, blinded by loneliness, no longer considered the sin of a wife betraying her husband and son. They hugged, exchanging warm embraces, before saying goodbye with promises to return to help each other relieve the stress in their bodies after days of deprivation. Feeling released by Mr. Hank today, Mrs. Clarice became visibly cheerful and excited. Whether at home or outside, a smile lingered on her face. Mr. Hank, after their encounter, returned to his ordinary life. Mrs. Clarice's youthful image remained deeply ingrained in him. He thought of her constantly, and every time he thought of her, he would smile to himself. It urged him to return to her again. Mr. Hank was a lonely man, unburdened by a wife or children, but sometimes he felt a twinge of guilt. He felt a little sinful for becoming the third party who shattered someone else's family happiness. His presence was what caused Miss Clarice to life turn upside down like this. Although he didn't actively seduce her, he let her sink deep into this illicit affair. But when his lust flared up, he couldn't think straight. He only wished Mrs. Clarice would appear instantly so they could satisfy their desires together. Eventually, when he couldn't control himself anymore, he snuck over to Mrs. Clarice's house. His arrival made Mrs. Clarice burst with happiness. For days she had dreamed of him, yearning to be close to him. The two people rushed into each other, making passionate love wildly. This secret affair began to deepen, becoming very difficult to break off. What woman, once entangled in infidelity, ever voluntarily repents and turns back? Once they had a taste, they saw each other more frequently. Mr. Hank once stayed there for a whole week, eating, sleeping, and sharing joys and sorrows with Mrs. Clarice. Every now and then, he would satisfy her sexual needs. Mrs. Clarice seemed to have forgotten that she had a husband. Since the house was by the field next to the river, no one knew. She wasn't afraid of being discovered. She took care of Mr. Hank like he was her real husband. They thought everything would proceed smoothly, but no. Heaven always watches. While they were embracing in bed one day,
Mr. Thomas, the husband, and Mrs. Clarice's son came home unexpectedly. Both were so engrossed in their lovemaking that they failed to notice the outside world. When the father and son arrived in the yard, they saw an unfamiliar
pair of shoes. Sensing trouble, Mr. Thomas rushed into the room. It was exactly what he had feared. A man and a woman, naked, performing acts that broke his heart. His hands and feet felt numb. His spirit was severely shocked when he had to witness his wife being taken by another man. The father and son immediately attacked Mr. Hank, beating him relentlessly. Only when Mr. Hank collapsed did they stop. Mrs. Clarice was terrified upon being discovered. She was slapped severely across the face, a blow that might have brought her back to her senses. She knelt all evening, begging Mr. Thomas to forgive her mistakes. She pleaded, screamed, and writhed wildly. Mr. Hank, after regaining consciousness, also had to kneel and beg Mr. Thomas for his life. Only then was he allowed to leave. That near-fatal beating probably taught him a lesson he'd never forget. From that day forward, he would never dare to have an affair again, even if he were paid to do so. Mrs. Clarice, though not knocked unconscious, also endured a severe beating, enough to bring her back to her senses. Luckily, her son stopped the husband, or she might have been completely humiliated. Since that day, Mr. Thomas, her husband, stopped working on the oil rigs. He stayed home to keep an eye on his wife. The son continued his father's profession. Mrs. Clarice has reformed and dedicated herself to taking care of the family, no longer intending to be promiscuous. Both of them understand that the price of infidelity is too great. The consequence of lust will corrupt a person and make them lose their humanity. If only there hadn't been that fire. If only Mr. Hank hadn't shown up. If both of them had known how to maintain their character and not indulged in random desires, their lives would not have been stained with such a filthy blemish. The expensive lesson this story brings is loneliness and emotional deprivation are never a justifiable reason to excuse betrayal and infidelity. The consequence of infidelity, especially when caused by unrestrained physical lust and lack of self-control, can completely destroy a family, causing profound emotional damage to the spouse and children. Controlling instincts. People need to learn to restrain their primal urges and be clear about their moral boundaries, especially when in a committed relationship. The value of family happiness. The happiness and honor of a family are priceless, and the price paid for a moment of carnal satisfaction is too steep. The final regret and the indelible stain cannot be erased.